Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your ticker guy coming at you from wonderful Niceville, Florida. I want to talk to you this evening about high-frequency trading. I and Tyler over at Zero Hedge have been yelling about this for a while, but it appears that it's finally gotten up on somebody's radar. CNBC ran 2 segments on it this afternoon, and there's a Bloomberg story up saying that Senator Schumer is trying to ban a particular part of it known as flash orders. Let me explain what the problem is with these flash orders, and in fact, maybe with high-frequency trading in general. You see, it is my opinion that for the most part, high-frequency trading is nothing other than a glorified version of front-running. That is, getting in front of customers' orders so that you can siphon off the flow and make a few pennies on each trade. This practice, by the way, is illegal. However, as you know Wall Street, they always try to find a way around the rules, and it appears that maybe they found another one in this particular instance. Let's take, for example, a hypothetical company, the Frobos Corporation, whose stock is currently selling at $20 a share. This means that there are people who are bidding for that stock at $20 a share, and there are people offering it $20 a share, that is, willing to sell. But there are also bids that are further away from the market. There are people who are not willing to pay $20 a share. They're willing to pay $19.95, $19.90, $19.80, and so on. Likewise, there are people who are willing to sell, but not for $20, for a higher price, $20.05, 10 cents, a quarter, and on up. The purpose of a public exchange is to expose all of this information so that buyers and sellers can agree on a price. When they agree on a price, trade takes place. But let's say, for example, that somebody comes in and wants to buy 10,000 shares of Frobos, and they're willing to pay $20.10. And let's further assume that there are computers that get this information before everybody else. Now, an ugly little thing can happen in that instance because the computer could turn around and buy all of the shares available at $20. Remember, the purchaser is willing to pay up to $20.10. And then sell them back to this person who nobody else had knowledge of was willing to buy. But when they did that, they sold them for 1 cent under the next best price. The next best price, let's say, is $20.05, so they purchase all these shares at $20, exhausting the offer, and then turn around and offer them to this other person that was going to pay $20.10 for $20.04. The guy who was going to pay $20.10, was willing to anyway, gets them for $20.04, thinks he got a great deal. He got 1 penny better than $20.05, which was the market at the moment his order went off. But that's not true. A fraction of a second before, there were shares at $20. The computer came and bought them and then turned around and resold them back to the guy that was going to buy them in the first place. See, the problem with this is there isn't any good way to prove that that's what's going on. But when you have asymmetrical information, that is, information that's provided to some people in front of others, it becomes very easy to do things like this. This severely distorts and disadvantages the market. It is, in fact, a very profitable thing to do if you can manage to find a way to get away with it, and an exception to the rules. Whether or not this is strictly speaking illegal under the current exchange rules is not something I can comment on. I'm not a securities attorney, but it sure smells bad, and it certainly violates the spirit of front running, which says that you're not supposed to do that, in addition violating the spirit of a public exchange. That is a place where bids, offers, and volumes are posted for everybody at the same time, so everyone has a level playing field. Something else to think about, ladies and gentlemen, while you contemplate this. The fact that you may have been ripped off by a small amount, fractions of a percent, but on every single transaction that you've been making. And that is this. These computer people, the people that run them, these big trading houses such as Goldman Sachs and others, all argue that by providing this service, they are adding liquidity to the system. But are they really? If the computer purchases the shares that the buyer was going to buy and then turns around and resells them, he's not providing anything. All he's doing is skimming off a piece for himself. But he is driving the market higher. That is, the price of that trade is at $20.04 instead of at $20. This, if it causes other people to chase the price higher, will cause prices to rise. What have we seen over the last 2 weeks? Prices rising at a very rapid rate. No apparent pullbacks, no apparent retracements. Why? Might these machines be passing shares back and forth amongst themselves and to customers at disadvantageous prices? We don't know. What I do know is this: computers are just as capable of selling stock as they are buying it. Everybody loves it when the market goes their way, but the fact of the matter is that manipulation and cheating shouldn't be tolerated no matter which direction it moves the market. Many people scream only when companies are disadvantaged, when their stock prices fall as a result of these kinds of practices. Not here. You will hear me speak out about unfair manipulation of the markets when it causes prices to fall and when it causes prices to rise. Because quite frankly, folks, if you're going to make your money in this market, you should do it honestly. Not by trying to find a way to game the rules, cheat, and pull yet another scam. Haven't we seen enough of this with mismarked securities, ratings that aren't really what they're supposed to be, shorting securities out the back door at the same time you're selling them out the front? You know, this stuff's been going on for a long time. And my question still remains, as you've seen on my blog countless times over. Where are the cops? This stuff's not supposed to be legal. It's not supposed to happen in America. It's time to put a stop to it. I'm your ticker guy, and that's my opinion.